Sure.
Hello, Yilin. Thank you so much
Right.
for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Yilin Fischer. I was born in China. I grew up. I spent most of my youth in Beijing, China. So that's where I grew up. Went to school, and I think I left home for college, and I did 2 years college in China, and then I decided to transfer, and then I started in University of Minnesota, I think in 2015. Yes, so I started my undergraduate University of Minnesota, and then after that, I also did a 1 year master program in business analytics. And then I joined the Anaplan right afterwards, which is a computer software company. And then have been working with them for 3.5 years now. So far, my life is kind of like half and half because I guess nobody really have too much memories when they're before like, let's say 5 years old. So spent my teenage years in China and then most of my 20s in the US, in Minnesota.
What are some of your hobbies and interests, things that you get excited about?
Yeah, I I try to read more now. So I feel like when I was younger, while school was always busy, and then you feel like reading was kind of a thing that you have to do. So that now I feel like when you grow up, you actually gained more interest of trying to read more stuff or more knowledges because is like you motivate yourself as if you're a teacher or your parents forcing you to read something. So I try to read a little bit more now. I like to be a little artsy, but I feel like I'm always a little bit hesitated to start a big project to learn how to do, let's say, oil painting or something. I gather materials and then I just haven't really get my hands on them yet.
That's exciting. I, I guess what are the types of things you like to read?
I would say mostly novels. I try to collect some book names that people like to read. Like you read some of the recommendations online, and then you read a short introduction somewhere on the website, and then try to find that book somewhere. I really like to go to those really old bookstores. I don't know if you, oh, well, you're not based in Minneapolis. There's a one big old bookstore in downtown Minneapolis. Is really cool. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they're able to afford it because it's literally behind our company, and then right next to the Target Center, across the light rail side of it, and it's a lot of space. And then it's just like one old lady and then her dog sitting at the reception area, and just like shelves and shelves of books. Some of them are like the first edition with signature from the author, and it's like the letter cover of it. So it's really cool to go through those.
When was the last time you went to that bookstore?
A couple weeks ago. Yeah, I haven't. The first time I found it was when I kind of uh, I was trying to do a networking before I joined the annual plan. So that's I went to a coffee shop nearby, and I was just walking to the library station. And I noticed it, so I went in, and I haven't really went back there for a couple of years, with COVID and everything. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked my husband to go there with me. Yeah, it's still like the same, exactly the same as I first saw it. It's like 3, 4 years ago, which is crazy.
What's the name of it? I love old bookstores, and I can't believe I didn't know about it when I went. So I next time I come to Minneapolis, I'll have to check it out.
I think it's called, let me search it really quick. It's like two persons' name. I think it's James and Mary Louise. Wait a second. Oh, yes. James and Mary Laurie, bookseller. I don't, yeah. It's kind of inside the building, but if you come to Minneapolis again, you can ask me, I'll let you know.
That'd be fantastic. I'm gonna take you up on that. And if you come to Houston, I'll have to take you to the art bookstores around here. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to read, right now I'm trying to read Stephen Wolf. It's a German writer. It's a little bit hard to read, but I try to finish it. I feel like so far I haven't really understood everything, but I feel like it's interesting when you read a book, maybe a good book, and then we don't get everything the first time, and then maybe a year later or 2 years later, when you get the time and try to reread it, you can learn a little bit more. So just try to finish it.
That's I know it's some books you feel like you have to read, and it's hard. And other books you can't put down, and you're up all night. You're like, what happens at the end?
Right.
Um, so did you know that NASA was planning to send astronauts back to the moon for the first time since 1972?
I didn't. I guess I didn't really knew that there was an attempt in the middle. Because I feel like that's like 50 years ago. I would thought that something has happened in between because I think probably because for my generation, I was born in 94. So when I grow up, we already know that someone landed on the moon already. And you wasn't really trying to, oh, that is such a significant event because it was already happened like 20 years before I was born. Um, so I I didn't know, but I don't find it surprising that we're still trying or is gonna happen.
Um, I guess what do you think about us going? Is it something that excites you and that you find interesting, or you're like, why are we doing that? We already did that before.
Oh, I think I would find it interesting because well after I searched I realized that this would be the second time that at least the US is trying to send astronauts to the moon. So it would be, and also I think there were lots of conspiracy theories about the first landing. People believing it's natural, something about the flag waving or something. So it would be interesting to see the result of it and what would find is, I mean, there are so many science fiction movies and TV series out there. So it will be interesting to know what is like the real life, what is actually what you can see on the moon compared to is completely unrealistic. It's just created out of fiction. That's what people believe of what is happening outer space.
Hmm. Um, I I guess some people are like, why are we sending people to the moon when we have all these problems here on Earth, like hunger and global climate change, and kind of conflict between countries and infrastructure issues, you name it. And I was
Yeah.
wondering how you sort of think about that conversation.
Um, I think I would say it's probably necessary to explore the universe because I would say because at the end of the day, let's say few thousand years later, or even from now, we look at few thousand years back, uh, nothing at the time that people were so concerned about really matters. Besides, okay, of course, if something really happened that changed the whole country or the whole world, then we do care about those movements. But some of the small concerns that we have at the time, uh, people don't care about that 3,000 years later. So that, but the exploration of the universe is not just about what we are doing today, we're doing tomorrow. what are we eating today, or worry about some of the conversations or the TV shows online. It's a bigger topic, and then you have to understand what's out there for us to be able to survive longer or make a better life for the human being. So I definitely think it's necessary, and it's never, at least I don't think it's an either or choice. Like you can either worry about now so that you don't have any energy or resources to worry about like the outer space. So I don't think it's you have to choose one, or since we have problems on the earth, there's no point to look beyond the earth. Yes, so definitely worth the time and the resources.
Now, when you look at the future of humanity, 100 years, 200 years, 500 years in the future, what do you see?
I guess I would expect there's more development in the technology, maybe compared to what our society looks like, because I feel like for the past few hundred years, we have made a lot of progress on that. So that's how that, let's say, it make it super easy for me to just, I want to go study in the US. And since my family will be able to support me, I just have the opportunity to do it. And that's not really realistic, let's say 50 years ago. So that I feel like right now we're already at the stage that the global economy and the communication between different countries, and also every single country, at least the bigger countries, have so many powers, nuclear powers, so that less likely that one big country would just disappear from the earth and then another big country would take over the whole thing. So that I feel like there will be less changes on the society structure, but more changes on the technology side of it. I would think so. Yeah, because there's nothing stopping us from enhancing the technologies, but there are restrictions on the society involvement.
Yeah, but the technology shapes the society, and the society shapes the technology.
Yes, I guess that's true. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, they will both evolve a lot, I would assume, because a few hundred years back, the world was a lot different. We can't even imagine what it was like to live even 100 years ago, I would say. So I guess I don't know. But it's kind of scary that, let's say, is I'm still in my 20s, and by the time I have kids and then they have grandkids, that's probably my grandkids will be the 100 years later generation. So it's kind of crazy to think about that.
It is. I know. I just, yeah. Anyway, I have a little different perspective on all that now, because my kids, one's already graduated from college, and other one's halfway through his first year.
Oh.
And I was just thinking, when you were born, I graduated from high school. So.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, especially I feel like my life is also a lot different than my mom's, and I'm sure that she didn't think that this is not possible for me, that I achieved way more than she expected. But I don't think she will see this, let's say 50 years younger, when she was only 2 years old.
Now, one way that technology changes things is like transportation. Used to, like the airplane, the first heavier than air flight was, I think, 1901, and only lasted for a few seconds. And then, we create the airplane, and we have airports, and, now we can wake up in one part of the world and go to sleep in a completely different part of the world.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how long does it take for you to go from Minneapolis to Beijing now?
I think it's probably gonna be overall maybe around 20 to 25 hours because there's no direct flight from Beijing to Minneapolis. So when I came here, so there are a few international airports that they receive all the international travelers, and then you basically you change to a different flight to travel domestically. So that with that into consideration, because there's normally at least a couple hours wait in between, is about 20 to 25 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's long for our sense, but I'm sure it's like unbelievable for people who used to travel by ship to the US.
I know they're
Spend
like,
3 months.
yeah, I know they're spending several months or going, you're complaining about a day, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, what if you could travel from Minneapolis to Beijing in 30 minutes for the equivalent price of a first class ticket on an airline today?
Depends on how expensive the flight is.
Yeah, about the same as a first class ticket would be today.
Oh, I would say, I guess I never rode first class before. I don't know how much of a price difference between the coach and first class, but I would say if it's affordable, I would definitely do it because why torture yourself for 20 hours if you can do it in 30 minutes?
I think
Yeah.
the only time I've really ever traveled first class is whenever I got enough points to get upgraded. So I also don't know how much it costs,
Oh,
but I think it's basically somewhere between 2 to 4 times economy is like
okay.
the cost.
Yeah, I would say I guess this also depends on the time frame. I'll say if I have a month to spare, then I don't mind to save, let's say $2,000 so that I can save it by riding the airplane for 20 hours more. But if there's anything urgent or it's like a surprise trip or you have a week vacation, but you just want to go travel abroad, then I will take that because it's not going to happen every day. I would do it, let's say once per year, go travel Europe because you only need 30 minutes to get there.
Did you know that Elon Musk is building a completely reusable rocket that he's planning to enable this type of travel within like the next decade?
Wow.
And that rocket is actually being built right now in South Texas and being, they're planning to test it out this year. So it's potentially something that might be, I'm not sure about Minneapolis to Beijing. It might be more like New York to Beijing, but still the flight from Minneapolis to New York is a not that, I mean, that's what a 2 hour flight, I think.
Is it is it gonna travel on a different level than the normal airplanes, but
It
still like not above the atmosphere or
it would
something?
go it would go above the atmosphere and come back down. And also
Oh,
there'd be a part of it that you would be in free fall, so you would have the weightless experience.
oh wow. I would say I'm probably not the type of person that I would just go for it when it's first out. But if I've seen it that is working for a while and people are safe after the trip, nothing get altered or there's no special training required, is becoming a more safe choice, I will probably do it. Yes. But
I
yeah,
like to,
that sounds exciting.
I've seen kind of simulations or animations about what the flight looks like, and it looks very different than an airplane ride. So I like to joke with people, you might get there in 30 minutes, but it might take you a week to recover.
Right. So it's no longer the jet like the space leg or something. That'll be, oh yeah, I guess I don't know. Then you're basically spending the more money, but spending the same amount of time to not be able to do anything. So
But who knows? People might have, no recovery time. I mean, because I mean, also, I mean, even on a plane, you're on a plane for like 8, 9, 10 hours, and your legs hurt and you feel all sore all over. So you still have
Right,
adjustments there too.
right, right. And I mean, there's a time zone difference, because I guess that's the one of the main reasons is causing discomfort, at least currently. But then sometimes when you're riding the plane, you try to get over it by adjusting your sleeping schedule on the plane. I guess that's not an option by doing this, but yeah, I would say if that option is available and is proven safe, it's probably a good option. Yes.
Um, so what do you remember from your childhood and your teenage years in Beijing? What was that like?
Um, I mean, it's very different because right now I live in the edge of suburb to country area in Minnesota. So it's like if you don't have a car, you basically don't get to anywhere. But when I grow up, you basically um, at least because my mom is she's a college professor, so that we live at kind of the college have those areas kind of beside next to the campus that's for faculties. So that's kind of where I grew up. So it's not too far out in the city. Is not, I wouldn't say it's downtown because Beijing is quite big, but it's in the inner circle of the main part of the city. So it's very convenient for within walking distance. I can go to probably 20 different restaurants, supermarkets, park, and then further out, because my school was a little bit far out. It's like 40 minutes bus ride, but you take bus because that's what everybody do. Take bus, take subway, and you can basically get to anywhere within an hour by using the public transportation. So I would say that's probably one of the main difference that I feel. It's a lot more convenient there. Um, then, I mean, the food and the culture is a little different, but I guess when I was younger, I didn't pay too much attention on the culture. So that I feel like since I spent most of my 20s here, I'm kind of in between because I would assume that from 20 to 30 years, that 20 years of time is where you grow your personalities or your knowledge of the world. So I'm kind of slightly in between. That's why I don't feel like I can get used to it here, or I just miss home, something like that.
As I can understand your challenge. My wife, she's of Indian origin. She grew up in Bahrain, in kind of like a Indian bubble, and then she came over here. So she's kind of juggling both worlds too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit challenging sometimes because my husband is like native Minnesotan, and some of the stuff, especially he, because when we started dating, it was just like a coincidence. It was randomly we met each other so that we started dating. It wasn't because he was interested in the Chinese culture, so that was something that we have in common. It wasn't really like that, so that sometimes I need to explain to him stuff or introduce him something that he never knew about Chinese people or Chinese culture. So that part might be a little bit challenging.
It I could tell you that it's kind of really challenging, especially like whenever it comes to like children. You're really short on time, and you're having to do stuff on instinct, based upon kind of how you were raised and how you saw other children raised, and like the family expectations are sometimes different.
Yeah.
So yeah, That might be something worth investing a little time in, understanding the differences and kind of thoughts on how children should be raised, because when you get
Yeah,
in the middle of it, there's no time.
right. Yeah, I guess, yes, because I think for my husband, I mean, we don't have kids yet. And I don't know, maybe we'll start trying soon, but I'm not quite sure because I'm a little scared about having kids yet. But I feel like for him, I mean, it's just basically you wait and you see what's going to happen and then you just deal with it. But then my mom is like, she is already 100% sure that her grandkids is going to be smart because there's no way they're not going to be smart. And then she already had the expectation for them. They have to go to a better college than I did. We had to get them out of Minnesota, live somewhere else. And then so we bought our house about 2 years ago. We were panicking about the school district, even though we even have no plan of having kids
Right.
yet. Because I feel like my mom is gonna be the heck, the kids has to go to the best school or private school. So but we thought about moving to better area for the best school district, but then like housing price was so high. So we thought about it for a little while and then I just gave up.
I would say, even if you don't plan on having kids or if you don't have kids, um, the school district helps with the value of the house as well. So there's also that
Right.
consideration. So
It is true. Yeah. But definitely the concept between Asian culture sometimes with education, how their plan of raising the kid is very different. I don't know if I want my kids to go through the same way I grow up. So I don't know if I was at my kids going to school back in China or in Beijing, because I feel like it's a lot more pressure and you can probably get more opportunities here because you have more options to explore your interests instead of getting a good grade in math or something. So that's definitely something that's different.
um, okay, so I have a question. Do you think humanity will expand beyond the Earth and will actually have humans living in other parts of the solar system?
I think it's possible because we don't know what's out there yet. We don't know if there's other planets that's suitable for uh, for humankind to survive there. But just like just like let's say probably 1,000 years ago, there's rarely you just move out of a country and you just decide to move to a different country or a continent. So that's same. I feel like maybe a few hundreds years or a couple thousand years from now, that it might be normal. Just you can choose the planet that you want to live on. It's just a longer distance compared to now you choose whatever country you want to live in. And yeah, or maybe whatever lifestyle that you want, because I'm sure the circumstances the environment will be different on different planets. So maybe there will be different focuses on what's your life's gonna be on Earth and what's your life gonna be on a different planet. So maybe people choose based on that.
Now, we've sent probes pretty much to every planet in the solar system, and we've observed pretty much most of the major moons of like Saturn and Jupiter. And I could tell you that there is no place in the solar system where humans can live without creating their own artificial environment. So, but we feel like Mars wouldn't be that difficult. Um, it's too cold, the air is too thin, it doesn't have oxygen, but we feel like we could create like a big, it'd be like the Minneapolis skywalk in the winter. That's what your life
Oh,
would be like in Mars.
so then I guess my question would be, let's say if it's so difficult to live on the other planets, and if there are enough resources for humankind to all live on Earth, then why would we leave Earth and live on a different planet, or maybe because there's job opportunities over there, and there's not enough on the Earth, so that people move for that reason. And there will be kids that's born on that planet and they don't want to live, so that way you grow a community out of it. Maybe.
Yeah, I think as I think there's two ways to look at that question. One is from the point of view of humanity and from the point of view of an individual. So the point of view of humanity would be kind of exploration and trying to push humanity beyond. And then also, even though you have all those risks there, you have quite a number of risks here on Earth too. You have pandemics, you have a potentially nuclear war, you have kind of this, maybe you don't like the way the global culture is going in terms of everything. And, you kind of go to Mars and start things over to some extent.
Yeah, so it's kind of like people from all the other countries chose to come to America, right? Because you want to start a new place all over from fresh. You don't have your king or queen to serve. You don't need to worry about your level of, I don't know, your level in the society, and then you can break through your level because whatever your family name is or something. So I guess that's possible, but it would depends on what's the option on the other end to see if it's a better option or not. Because someone has to, there will be a government on another planet, and there will be rules, and there's going to be regulations and stuff.
I know it's almost at 4:45. Do you have some more time?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
We can go over.
Thank you. Yeah, but one thing about that government on Mars, at least initially, it would be made up of, like, going to Mars is a filter initially. You have to want to do it, right? You have to be adventurous. You have to be physically fit enough. You have to be smart enough. Whereas, here, pretty much any place on Earth, you don't have kind of that same sort of filter in a way.
Yeah, but then it will be weird, because it sounds like the people who will be able to go to Mars to live, I'm sure they would need to have money to be able to afford a trip or something, so that their family need to be wealthy, and then as you said, their body will need to be able to adjust it, so that in a sense that is more I don't know, a more elected portion of human being, so that you're sending the best of people with spirit, with the genes, with the money, to go to a different place. I guess it's possible, but I don't know how it will end. Once it gets that started, it just seems like it's like that's the better place, and that's what the better people go to type of thing.
Well, at some point you'll have like people just born on Mars, and it'll become like the same sort of distribution of people. You no longer have, in fact, Mars may be filled with people who want to go to Earth at some point.
Right. Yeah. Eventually it might just even out. There is no difference between the two planets. If we can make Mars so livable that there's not a significant difference on the environment side of it between Earth and Mars, then yes.
Now let's imagine that you do decide to have children. I don't know, pressure, but let's say that you do, and your great granddaughter was born on Mars, grew up her entire life on Mars. Now she's in high school, and she's been given this research project to go and write about what was humanity like before we went back to the moon, this time period. And she's looking at her great grandma, Yilin,
Okay.
to get some quote or some insight into the world today. What would you tell her?
Gosh. I don't even know what I want to tell myself 20 years from now. And I have to, this is scary. This is a lot of pressure.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. It will probably be something cheesy, like I don't know, follow your hearts, live your life, be happy. Something about that is I guess is very hard. Yeah, I guess I never really thought about any questions that's similar to this. I imagine life at that time for her on Mars will be very different. They might even have alien friends. That's that her friend circle where the school that she goes to is not even all for human. So it's gonna be very different. Be happy, live your life.
That's good advice. Well, did you know that China was planning to send humans to the moon in 2035?
Oh, I didn't know, but I would expect that all countries will try to do that because yes, there is still competition. They won't just always be, it's always Americans going to the moon. So I'm sure that China would want to do that. And I know that they have some, I don't think those are spaceships. I don't know the terms for those. They have stuff that's in the space. And I'm sure that the major countries in the world right now have similar technologies, maybe some differences here and there, so that it won't be a huge difference that, let's say, American go to the moon 200 years earlier than another major country in the world. Yeah, so that's not surprising.
At some point, I think you're right. It won't matter. Everybody, it'd be just like the airlines. Nobody cares who flew the first airline. They only care. They only care if it comes to their city, and if they could get on it, they're okay.
Yeah, that is true. Because I have no idea who flew the first airline, where is it from, and where is it to? Yeah, that's very true.
At the time, I'm sure it was big news, and people were all excited about it.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to think like that because because we live in the moment, and this is exciting. But 100 years later, it doesn't even matter. This is common.
Yeah, it kind of got garbled there for a little bit. I think the internet on my side might be the problem, but so NASA last year, they were planning to send astronauts to the moon in 2024, and last year they said it's going to be 2025. Some other people say they think it's going to be longer, 2026, 2027, 2028. A few weeks ago, China said, we think we could do it 8 years earlier and do it in 2027.
Okay. Well, yeah, as I said, it's competition. And especially I feel like it's in the international relationship right now, it's a little bit tense. So that's, but I hope whatever they do, they're not just trying to beat the other country on the timeline, but actually be safe. And yes, so yeah, but that's exciting because I guess as competitions, you make things hopefully better because you have a motivation to do better. So hopefully that's a good thing.
Yeah, plus you have somebody to measure your progress by.
Right.
Without that, you're just kind of you don't know, am I doing well? Am I not doing well? Am I going fast? Am I going slow? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll be interesting, and hopefully one day it's not just yeah, it will be a normal thing for all the countries.
And so if it was safe and affordable, would you take a trip to space?
If it's safe and affordable, I'd say yes, but uh, I wouldn't say I would do it now, even just regardless the safety factor, because there are a lot of unknowns of what's over there. So if you only take the trip, just go over to take a look at the land of the moon. I don't know if I will pay a lot of money to do it, but um, yes, I would say it would depend on what's the expectation when you get to the other side. Um, and then if it's gonna be something interesting, then maybe, yeah.
How far would you consider going? Just to orbit, or would you go to the moon and back, or would you immigrate to Mars?
Oh, I would say for the first two options, if it's safe and affordable, if I'm already going all that way, I might as well go to the moon instead of just the orb. But uh, immigrating to another planet, that's a different story. That depends on what is over there. Because I feel like I'm not the super, I'm gonna take this risk regardless what's the result is gonna be type person. So I need to have an expectation of what my life would be over there to be able to make that decision. Yes. So I don't know if I'll be the first people migrating to Mars. Yeah, but possible if it's a good thing.
I would listen to the people that have come back, not the people that are over there, because the people that are over there are gonna say it's great, it's beautiful, you should come, because it'll make it better if have more people come.
Oh, but I mean, are they building stations on Mars so that there is a financial factor into it, or why do they want more people over there to
Oh,
see?
well, I mean, imagine you're stuck on Mars and you only have 20 people around you. You're like, I,
Okay,
I could really use some new friends, you know?
right. That makes sense. Yes, but then they have to grow more vegetables.
That's
Yeah, bring
true.
more food,
So maybe you
bring
only
more
want
water.
farmers to come. Yeah.
Yes, right. Yeah. So that's interesting. Those people are living on Mars for a long time. The people you're talking about that came back.
Yeah. That maybe they came back. Maybe they're only there on temporary assignment or something. And but once they're back here on Earth, then they could be, their motives are a little different, right? They're like, I'm on Earth. Like you.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. I'm sure one day there will be big corporations decided to build some entertainment facilities over there, and then it's a profitable thing to bring people over. Um, and initially, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are wealthy that would rather do that adventure before they die. So it will be contributing.
Absolutely. Well, Yilin, thank you so much. I know we talked about a whole bunch of things. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about, or did you have any questions for me?
Uh, um, I guess I was a little bit curious about what happened in between 1972 to now, because there's 50 years past, and it was already at least successful. 50 years ago, why we waited so long to do it again. And we're not even quite sure which year we're going to be ready.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, the way we were going to the moon was very expensive. All disposable rockets. You only use them one time and they cost a lot to build. Only took 3 astronauts. And the thought was, hey, we needed to do something reusable. So then we developed the space shuttle. But the space shuttle turned out to be a very costly and not as reusable, and it could only go to low Earth orbit. And we decided we wanted to build a space station. And so that has been really the focus for the last 50 years, has been that progression. So some people say that the program has been shrinking instead of expanding. So.
Oh, interesting.
But now we're going back to the expanding thing. So hopefully that works out well.
Sure. Okay. That sounds good. I think the other question would be, so besides, I mean, clearly we're trying to explore probably all the planets that's reachable, but then is there any specific interest on the moon that's why we're going there? That's just special about moon.
There's not one specific thing. There's like a list of maybe a dozen or two things. Since the last time I went to the moon, we discovered there is water ice on the moon. There's there's these craters near the poles where they don't get any sunlight, and since there's no atmosphere on the moon, they're very, very cold. And so we think that over billions of years that comets have hit the moon, and that some of the water molecules have made it into these cold areas and are frozen. So we think there's lots of frozen water ice in these places on the moon. So some resources there. There's been some talk about helium-3 and being able to use it in like these fusion reactors, but all that's very speculative. Rare earth metals actually come from meteorites, and these same meteorites have been impacting the moon. So potentially we could get all these things from the moon as well. From a science perspective, you know, meteors are constantly hitting the Earth. Like every hour of every day, there's lots and lots of meteors hitting the Earth, but most of them burn up in the atmosphere. The ones that don't hit the ocean, the ones that hit the land get weathered and grown over, and like the effects of them disappear. But these same meteors have been hitting the moon as well. And since the moon doesn't have an atmosphere, doesn't have nature, you know, life, you know, it's a record of all of these kind of impacts that we've had. So we could learn more about kind of like the history of the Earth-Moon environment by studying the moon. And then also the sun has, you know, been impacting the moon with like the radiation and solar wind. And so there could be evidence about the history of that on the moon as well. So we could also learn a little bit about, you know, have there been lots of solar flares over the you know, thousands and millions of years? You know, how has the radiation changed and things like that? So, and plus the most interesting reason to go to the moon is to find something that we haven't even imagined and that we have no idea exists.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, I think there are more mysterious theories about moon compared to any other planets for at least humankind, because I mean, lots of cultures, they're religious or something is based on the lunar stuff. And then I mean, in China there's fairy tales about the lady and her rabbit bunny pet living on the moon. So I don't know if there's something else that's just more special about moon compared to anything else.
Well, one thing is it's close. You could go to it any time of the year, whereas Mars, it's a lot farther. You know, the distance between Earth and Mars is changing all the time. So there's only certain times when you can really go between the two.
Oh, right. It makes sense. Yeah. And the other question would be, do you think everyone in NASA believes that there's alien? And all those videos, let's say online stuff, do you really think those are aliens that was visiting Earth, trying to explore was here?
I mean, personally, I would say I don't think so, but at the same token, I would say I wouldn't argue against it. I would just say that there's things that I don't know and understand. In terms of what the rest of NASA believes, I don't know. I'm sure they're pretty much. I don't think there's. I have trouble believing that we think there's aliens that are here. But who knows? It's I
Yeah,
would say I don't know. I would say also that I feel it's so unlikely. I'm not spending much time in trying to figure it out. But it would be
sure.
really amazing if they're here. I mean, I don't think it's impossible either.
Okay. I guess, I mean, clearly NASA does all those scientific researches on outer space. I don't know if there was any possibilities from the science side, regardless what people think they saw on the sky or or in the cornfield, that if it's even there's a slight chance that science would be able to think that's possible, not proven possible, but thinks there's a possibility. But yeah, because my husband really likes to watch those videos on YouTube, and sometimes they will just have some videos that's, oh, is that alien? That's has a weird head, something. Yeah, I think that those are all my questions.
Well, Yilin, thank you so much for your time, and it was so good to get to connect. And I'm so glad to have you part of my project.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully one day, as you said, my granddaughter that's living on Earth, maybe we'll be able to see this video as a time capsule thing. That would be exciting. Yeah.
Will be. Well, you have a good rest of your day, and
Yeah,
hopefully we'll
you
connect
too.
again at some point in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Hope your start day at NASA is just as you imagined.
Well, thank you. Okay.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice weekend. Bye.